fantasy? What's your football fantasy? You come home after a long day, you need football in your life the TTNL way. You tap on your phone after fantasy play. Pause, not like that before you take it the wrong way. You have an idea what players to draft, then tap on a beer like genuine draft. Study all the players, look close at the stats. A QB first, then a top running back. First you hear Cool Kennedy audio, then on your screen you see Jackle, and Claudio. It's a take, never lies production. They keep it fantasy with Ivan's porno production. Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? What's your fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, it's a football fantasy.
Yo! This is TTNL's Keepin' It Fantasy. This is Claudio the Barber. Another week is here. I'm back. I'm happy I'm back. Let's go. Let's bring on.
Hey-o.
There he is. There he is.
Buddy.
We got one part of the crew, the A-team. Ivan is missing in action. I think he's making a porno production or something. I don't know what he's doing.
With that stash, you
I'm
never
sure
know.
he'll come on or.
He's giving out mustache rides. Who knows what he's doing over there, you know?
Oh, yeah,
Fuck. But hey, the Ivan and the Jackle and Claudio show 2.0. Here we go.
What's up? What's up?
How we doing?
How you doing? How you feeling, man? I missed it, man. I tried to get on last week. I had technical difficulties, but
Hey.
I'm here now, and that's all that matters.
Well, I'm great. It's great to see you. You know, we
Good to see you
obviously
too.
missed you last week. We tried to give it a go, and unfortunately, you know, it just didn't come to fruition, right?
That's all right. It's all right. You
We
guys
held
did a
it
good
down
job.
as much as we could. Ivan and I got lost in the weeds a little bit, as we normally do. Typical, right?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good,
Hey,
man.
but to that point, week 6 happened just like the show last week, and fuck it. I took a drubbing all week. It was just a bad fantasy week for me. So I don't know how you did. So I'm going to ask you also.
I had a tough loss in the TTNL league. I had Justin Herbert going on Monday night, and he just dropped a dump on my team, getting 9 points. I lost by 1 point. I needed him to get 10 fantasy points. Justin
Oh my
Herbert.
God! Oh
I
my
lost
goodness!
by 1 point. Yeah.
Oh, I got my balls busted. I was getting shit fucking talked all week. I scored the lowest points in 2 of my leagues. Just it was bad all around, and I deserve it. You know, I mean, like you said, sometimes you win some, you lose some. You think you know what you're talking about some days. Some days are diamonds, some days are stones. I could say all the cliches, all the fucking dumb sayings.
That's fair. I said it before. It's like predicting the weather, man. I mean, you know, we can look at all the data we want, but
All right, Stu Lacker, well done, buddy.
oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but so, dude, week 6. I mean, let's talk about it a little bit, and then we can get into kind of, I guess, the nuts and bolts of week 7. You know, our waiver wire starts and sits, trying to get everybody, you know, off and running for the waiver wire and get your fab going for tonight with the deadline approaching. So, realistically, any major injuries that came off the top? You know, there was someone that you mentioned right before we went. Did you want to
Marquise
talk about?
Brown, I have him, and he was lighting it up. He's one of the top receivers for the season, stat wise, and
wide
he's
receiver
out for,
8 in fantasy points after this week.
Yeah, and I think he's out for like 6 weeks. They're saying so. That's tough. That's a tough loss, you know, for fantasy owners.
I mean, yeah, it sucks to the point where they had to go out and make a trade, and they bring in
Robbie Anderson,
which
and they got Hopkins coming back, right?
You beat me, yeah, exactly.
Coming back this week, I think he's coming back. I think so.
He's been practicing. I think it was a 16 suspension. He's expected to play week 7. I mean, they need him. Davis Mills turns into kind of like a start situation if you think about it with him coming back. I just think he's one of the top wide receivers when he's playing. So
who's the start?
I think Davis Mills with Houston as a quarterback with. I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that.
We're in 2022, Chris. We're not in 2019, but it's all right.
That's why they call it dope. You know what I'm saying? So
where's the smoke weed every day drop? We need to get those.
I know that was just bad. You're looking at me like, who's starting? And I'm like, wait, why is he asking me that? That's like the 0 reception thing that I did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
for the 0 targets.
It's all right. That won't be.
But no injuries. So we digress.
Yes.
Any other injuries? I know. let's see. So Tua is supposed to be coming back. Speaking of injuries, so he's supposed to, if he's healthy and gets cleared, he'll be playing week 7. I'm trying to think any other guys off the top of my head that were injured that came back. James Conner, obviously, he's injured. That's a guy to monitor. You know, something in Arizona as we talk about the Cardinals. Maybe today their offense has just been a fucking shit show. And Kyler Murray and Kingsbury, he's giving a play call, and who knows what they're doing. Yeah. So Conner's hurt. Carson Wentz is hurt. Tua's coming back. Pat Freiermuth's coming back. I'm trying to think as I'm looking. Jarvis Landry's out. So for injuries, that's pretty much it. So, I mean, nothing catastrophic. Hopefully we're getting some guys back.
I think you got just Jameis Winston might be coming back too for the Saints.
Yeah.
And
he broke his back, right?
Yeah. Dalton's hurt. Back. So that could be good for your Saints players, your receivers. You got Olave and you got,
who's Thomas. Hopefully going to get cleared. Michael Thomas and his fucking toe or foot or whatever's going on. He's just been – that guy's made of glass, man. I'm just really disappointed. And, I mean, I shouldn't say disappointed. Getting Thomas? Injured – getting injured as, is just got – it's happenstance basically as NFL player, especially
He's getting up there too, though. He's getting up there. I mean,
True.
Dude, he's been in the league a while.
What do they call him? Slant God, right?
Yeah, Slant God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So – as we talk about injuries, let's talk about some positive things of week 6 real quick. Do you have any studs for you that you were riding high on, or do you?
Well, I got a couple from the same team.
Okay. I like that.
I have this guy, drafted him as a quarterback in a 2-quarterback league as my second quarterback. I thought he was going to be good all year. He hasn't until recently. Matt Ryan came out and threw the ball around a little bit, 389 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had Pittman, obviously, there, and that's the second guy who had a great game. 16 targets, 13 receptions for 134 yards. So, as long as he's in the game with Matt Ryan, I think Matt Ryan's a good play especially against soft defenses.
I agree.
So,
well, so give me another one, Claudio. Do you have another one?
Other studs? I mean, I don't know. Honestly,
any receivers? Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs.
Obviously, besides the obvious guys. Yeah. But anybody that's off the.
Brandon Ayuk had a huge day, 28.8 points. He had 8 receptions, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Running backs, there were a few. You talked, Matt Ryan. Speaking of, did you talk about his stats? What he did for numbers?
Yeah, 389 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I couldn't believe he threw the ball 58.
Yeah, he was a top. I think he was the top point getter for quarterbacks.
Joe Burrow had 32.5 for quarterbacks. He had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he had that rushing touchdown that gave him that 6 points, Claudio. Mm-hmm. So I think, running backs, there were a couple monsters, man. One of the dudes who came out of left field, Deion Jackson for Indianapolis.
Yeah, but now he's out. He's hurt.
Man. Jonathan Taylor's supposed to be coming back, though, so I think it's killing me.
Alec Pierce
that is a draft pick, Claudio, that I've regretted. Him and Kyle Pitts.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, how about we talk about some of these guys that were drafted high that just have not panned out? I mean, Jonathan Taylor's one of them, obviously. Obviously with the injuries, but you got McCaffrey started bringing it on, as of late. But there's a lot of guys, especially running backs, that people. Najee Harris. I mean, I drafted Najee Harris.
Injuries, it's just
but he hasn't been hurt. Najee Harris. He's just.
Well, he got hurt initially in the beginning of the year. There was the injury issue with his foot.
Bit,
Remember the Lisfranc or whatever?
Yeah,
and you just kind of didn't know what was going to happen from there. But
yeah,
man, I mean, there was just been Kyler Murray's been a bust. Everybody expected big things from him, and everybody invested heavily in Cordell Patterson, and he's been hurt. The problem is nowadays is injuries with especially running backs. I mean, most wide receivers seem to be producing. There are a few out there that aren't fantasy wise, but realistically, that's why the trend is just shifting to such a, it's a passing league in general, but wide receivers are just creeping into the top 10 more and more for draft picks.
I mean, we're halfway. We're almost halfway through, or about halfway through for playoff leagues.
Yep.
And right now,
season's halfway over almost.
Pretty much, for playoff leagues. Yep. And you got right now Eckler, which I called at the start of the season.
Yes, you did, Claudio.
Number one running back. He right now in the sleeper league 140 points for the season. Barkley's a 129. So I'm not sure if there was a buy. I don't think there was a buy in there. I think they have the same amount of games. But
okay.
But yeah. So yeah, Eckler's been nice. Logan said Eckler's been just okay. Yeah, just kidding. He's laughing. Yeah, it was rough at start. At the start, the first few weeks for Eckler was not.
But I'm a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. We talked about him last week a little bit, and he's a guy that's ultimately just. I mean, he's had a couple down weeks. The Lions have had a couple hiccups recently, but I mean, he had those 8 weeks in a row of just straight up fantasy gold, and he's a guy that if he's able to rebound, I mean, I think with Williams coming over, coming off of injury, I think life's going to get a little easier for him. You could see him even put up just more consistent, better numbers than he was doing with, prior to having that extra weapon coming into with Jameson Williams coming off injury. Yeah. He's a guy that I think next year is going to leap. You're just going to see his ADP, skyrocket. But I kind of want to circle back to just any disappointments, though, as we kind of real quick as we just segue from just for this past week. So
gotcha.
Are there any busts that you had? I know that fantasy this weekend was crazy for everybody, but not outside of fantasy also. So I didn't know if there's anybody that you were kind of like, damn man, I was just fucking pissed off. I
spoke on him before, Justin Herbert. That was a dud for him.
Yeah.
Going against the Broncos. The Broncos defense is decent, but still, you expect him, even without Keenan Allen, you expect him to put up more than 9 points.
True.
He was projected 24 points and he puts up 9. So that's a big dud for me. And then this guy who has Bear fans, there's a little trade talk, DJ Moore. Somehow can we get him on our team? I don't know, but this guy has been having a rough time in Carolina.
I mean, look what they gave up for Robbie Anderson. They traded him too. So if it's a fire sale, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, if that's what they're going to do, then we'll take them. I don't know what we'll give up for him. But yeah, he has 7 targets, 3 receptions, 7 yards. It's pretty horrible.
I'm just going to throw Nick Chubb as a dud for me this week. I mean, it was just that he was leading he was basically first. I think he was first among running backs in fantasy points and just had a dud of a day. And, he's still he's up there also, but Chubb was just a big disappointment for me. It cost me a big loss in one of my leagues. Just, I needed him. I expected him to produce, and, I lost by, when you look at not the projections mean really everything, but when you look at it and then when you look what you lose by and you're like, God damn, man, even when I was trending, I was supposed to do well. And it just killed me. But
I don't you hate that? You're going into, Monday night or Sunday night, whatever you're ending. And you're like, I got this shit locked up.
You talked about it earlier with you needed 10 points and you got 9.
It sucks, but again, that's just fantasy. Yeah. That's just that's why we love to hate it. It's exciting and heartbreaking at the same time. I wanted to actually talk to you about this real quick. So we're talking about the halfway point, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? So I'm in some leagues, and I used to run a league where we used to do playoffs, right? We used to do the normal, week 13 start or whatever. But I kind of like where you play all season, right? There's no playoffs, and it goes by total points. So I don't know if you've ever been in a league like that. So literally the standings go by total points.
Yeah.
And then you still play head-to-head. And then if you win that week, you get extra points added to that week's total.
So you get an overall. So you get a point for a win, basically.
Well, you get more than that. You get in the league I was doing.
Whatever it is, there's
20
a
points
total
extra.
Number. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get 20 points added for a win.
Yeah.
But I like that. But I don't know. What do you like better? You like the playoff style where you make the playoffs, anybody's got a chance, or the end of the season?
I've never been in a fantasy league like that, Claudio. I'm in a league now with a bunch of my buddies from high school where the league's been going on for probably close to 20 years now. And it's called the NCL, it's called the No Cunts League. It's been going on that long because, we got a bunch of guys that been together and, they don't put up with any bullshit. It's how do I say this? We initially had 2 matchups. You played 2 people a week, and then we got rid of that. And what we do is you take total points for your score that week. There's 12 teams. Top 6 get a win for being in the top 6, if you're the top half of scoring, but you also have a head-to-head matchup. So you end up with either 1-1, 0-2, or 2-0. And then overall points gets a prize at the end of the year.
Same thing right there.
Yeah. But I like top cash prize going to the regular season winner. I think it's harder throughout the whole season to have the best team. And I think that's total points. I think if you're able
and that's why I brought it up, because to me, I mean, whatever, obviously I'm not going to complain if I'm in a league like this, it's with playoffs, whatever, we play. But if like with my league, I was like, you know what, to really show who's the better fantasy owner, right, is total points, because that's the whole season, making trades, making moves, starting the right guy. There's a lot of time. How many times you see people who have the most points in the league, but they're like 5th place?
That's me and
2 losses,
that's me and
3
TTNL.
losses, where you go against the one team that could beat you. So that luck is kind of like, I don't try to get as much luck out of it as possible. So I don't know. We never talked about it. I just was.
No, but I agree. So that's what I do. That I do like where you can have the best of both worlds. You can do the, your head-to-head matchup where you have your regular, your lineups, you go against one another, and then you have your scoring option where I like how my buddy Greg set that up. I didn't like the 2 matchup thing. I thought it was fucking stupid, because you could still go 0-2 if you happen to go against 2 people that you're third in points for the week, and you play the 2, so it's just, I thought it was kind of whatever. So compromise worked out, and we ended up coming up with the way, and I think it's a pretty fun league. And it's a competitive league too, so it's fun. I've made the playoffs. I haven't won the league in like 14 years. I'm not even on the new trophy.
You guys do anything for last place?
It's funny because now that's on the table. We're talking about doing something on the golf course, something like whatever. You've seen the videos of dudes like going golfing in like a dress or some crazy ass shit. I'm not up for that, but I'm down for some sort of shenanigans.
No, not golfing in a dress. The next year's draft, you have to wear a dress at the draft.
That's at someone's house. That's a little different, whatever. But let's circle back to week 7. All right.
Yeah.
I know Ivan is still. The line is around the building out there in Chicago right now with the mustache rides he's given right now. He must be exhausted. So
hopefully everything's all right. I don't know.
As we joke around, I do.
Hopefully everything's good. Maybe something went down, but it's all right. I had 2 weeks off. He's like, fuck this shit. I'm taking a week off. So.
And I'm with you, right. Stu Lacker. I do appreciate this comment, man, and that's where the whole fab thing comes into play. And I think that kind of breathes a little bit, that rejuvenates your fantasy life when you get into a league where you're right. Luck of the draw. Like this week, you just happen to play it right, and you end up getting a top waiver claim, boom. Or you actually have an opportunity to outbid somebody for someone. It makes it a little bit more interesting. So I can see what you're talking about there, Stu Lacker.
Yeah, exactly. The fab definitely takes some of the luck out of the waiver wire for sure.
And Zane's right. I was going to bring up this later on, talking about the backfield with, with Drake, Kenyon Drake in Baltimore with Dobbins' knee with the tightness. Yeah. That's something to keep an eye on. I think the tightness is also, it's led to some swelling as well. So, it's Gus Edwards coming off PUP. It's another thing that I talked about him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he's coming back. Yep.
So that was a stash candidate that I had for you the last week, 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, there's definitely injuries that are popping up as we've talked about for the last 6 weeks, because it's fucking football in the NFL and dudes just fucking get beaten down. But to that point, let's talk about some. Do you want to go waiver wires? Do you want to go start and sit? Do you want to talk? Where do you want to go?
Well, we can do the start and sits first, and whatever. Either way,
let's talk about.
We'll get it out there eventually. So we'll start with starts. I mean, so we talked about the Cardinals before. We talked about obviously Marquise Brown being hurt, out. So obviously someone's going to step up. I talked about this guy before a few weeks ago, saying to pick him up. He actually still had a little injury that week, but Rondelle Moore, I think, is going to be a huge part in that offense. They're going against the Saints, who have middle of the road secondary. So he's going to get a lot of looks, and he's going to be in the slot, a lot like how Christian Kirk was on that team when Christian Kirk was playing on that team.
Okay,
but he's had career high snaps 3 weeks in a row, so you can tell his usage is just going up. So it's a good sign, obviously. And he's averaging like 7 targets a game. So I would start him this week if you need a, number 2, number 3 receiver or a flex guy. Start him in the flex. Okay. Could be with buys. Obviously, people need some fill-ins. So that's one of my guys. How about you? What do you got?
I'm going to bring up a dude that I thought had DeAndre Hopkins as his quarterback, Davis Mills. It hasn't.
Couldn't wait to get him up.
Yeah, so that he was on my brain. So that's I still can't believe I fucking said that. But Davis Mills, he's got a very favorable matchup against the Raiders this week. A team that is actually averaging almost 25 points a game, fantasy points a game for opposing quarterbacks. He is he's a guy that I think is not had the best year. He's come out and done something.
Wait, what? I was like, we're so shocked. We had this boring ass football behind us this whole time.
I didn't know what that was. I thought I was tripping. But,
I wasn't on last week. This is new from last week, right?
So while you were in difficulties, Claudio was. Yeah, no, well done. Ivan was making another one that had to erase your name and put his name on there. So he did that during the show. It was impressive, man. Ivan's a man of many talents, given how much I tried still. But
not the most punctual guy tonight,
but Davis Mills, I want to get back to him real quick. He's not lighting the world on fire in terms of fantasy. He's averaging 209.6 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and just under an interception a game right now, which gives you about 10.42 fantasy points. But it's also come against some pretty tough defenses, and I like this favorable matchup week 7 against the Raiders. In 4 out of the 5 weeks, quarterbacks have scored more than 20 points, which has included 30 fantasy points allowed in week 5. I like this kind of, if you're streaming quarterbacks, I think he's a guy you could start. If you kind of rode the Kenny Pickett train, you thought maybe he was, or the Zach Wilson. Or
they listened to you, they would have.
Yeah, I like the Kenny Pickett train. Got the concussion, and he was playing well until he got hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
But hey, what are you gonna do?
When you throw about 50 fucking times, you're gonna get a few completions.
That's fantasy, but that's fantasy. That's volume. That's what you want, right?
True.
No, but I think Davis Mills is a start if you're trying to find somebody, and that's where we are right now. You got the bye weeks. We did not talk about the bye weeks, and I think it's Buffalo, the Rams, Vikings, and Eagles this week, if I remember correctly.
So there's some quarterbacks missing.
Yeah, exactly. So Davis Mills is a guy to think about. So I'm gonna kick it over to you for another start, and then maybe we could,
This is kind of a start at different positions. So Jameis Winston should be playing, but if for some reason he doesn't, but Taysom Hill, you can start him at tight end, and if for some reason Jameis Winston goes down, Taysom Hill is going to be the quarterback, and you'll have him in as your tight end.
Oh, so, you're playing a little
Taysom
taking advantage of the old
This is like
rules
the cheat code this year. Like for some reason they put this dude as tight end, and he runs the ball, he passes the ball, he catches the ball. But that is a start, I think, not just because he could play quarterback. I mean, because obviously you saw what he did a few weeks ago, which of course the week before he went off, I fucking dropped him. And he fucking goes off, and then I'm trying to fucking spend all my money to get him back like an idiot. But yeah, if you got Taysom Hill, you can pick him up if he's still available. Tight ends are few and far between this year, so I would start him because even if he's not playing quarterback, he's in there and he can score a couple touchdowns. But if Jameis Winston, who's banged up, goes out, Taysom Hill is going to also be the quarterback.
Yeah, he's rostered pretty much after the 2 weeks. I mean, he did. Yeah. I don't think he got a target last weekend, but I 2 weeks ago, obviously lit the world on fire. Everybody picked him up to expect big things. He didn't really, so he would be a dud too.
It's a crapshoot, but with tight ends,
no. But I think your point is exactly well placed. I think it's exactly where it needs to be because it's true. I mean. You don't know, but if he does go and he's healthy and Jameis plays and ultimately does come out, you're going to get whatever he got on the TE, end, and then whatever he gets a quarter. I mean, you could look at a pretty big day if it worked out in your favor, but that would suck if that's because then you got to find a quarterback for week 8. But, hey, what are you going to do? We're trying to win week 7, right?
Yeah, no, it won't affect your quarterback unless you have Winston.
No, that's what I'm saying. Oh, I see what you. Yeah, I got you. I was looking for the stack. I was going with the stack.
You're gonna have him as tight end, and then you have whoever your quarterback is. So it's just an added bonus. But that's my other start.
Okay.
For the week, if you can get him.
Anybody on the sit side you want to talk about?
Yeah, I got 2 sits. I'll start with one of them, and then you can throw one out.
Go ahead.
But another guy I have in a couple leagues, and he had a good week last week. But Juju Smith-Schuster on the Chiefs, going against the Niners. The Niners D is playing really good. They're like second in the league against the pass.
They're banged up. They are still performing.
Yeah, they're banged up, but
they're performing.
They're performing. They got a lot to play for over there. They're rallying around Garoppolo. Yeah, but I listen. I think you might want to sit him if you have some better options. He hasn't been the most consistent this year. He's played decent the last couple of weeks, but I just got a feeling this week you might want to look elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Who you got?
So I'm going to give you just a couple of quick starts. I think it's time to officially start Brian Robinson. I think what you saw this past week with the shift, and we talked about it last week with the number of carries he got compared to Gibson in the fourth quarter, and as things kind of worked at the gameplay, as it all kind of played out. Mm-hmm. But then you go ahead and look at week 6, where he carried the ball 17 times. Definitely much more efficient with the ball. He's got a solid matchup against Green Bay. Last week, the Packers gave up 24.3 fantasy points to the Jets running backs. For the third straight 20-point fantasy, day for running backs against Green Bay. So they are cheese fucking heads. They got cheese fucking holes, and they're just giving up. They're just giving up. Yeah, so they're running all over them.
They got a lot of a-holes too.
Pay attention, Eberflus.
They got a big a-hole at quarterback too.
But Green Bay has just been porous, and against the run, and so I think Brian Robinson, it's all lining up. Coming back from the injury, feel good story 2 weeks ago or last week, and then just he did well. I think you're just going to see more good things from him. The Commanders have a bright spot. You have Taylor Heineke playing, who I actually think is going to be a potential sleeper. But I also just think
he balled out last year.
And I think the Commanders are going to respond to him being out there. So I think that just bodes well for the offense in general. And I just think that means more fantasy touches and points for Brian Robinson, possibly Curtis Samuels and Scary Terry. But in terms of
Commanders.
And I'm starting.
What we do, we root for the Bears and anybody that plays the Packers.
That's right, baby.
That's
right. Need that on a shirt. And I'm going to sit Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's on my sit list. Was that your guy?
It was, but go ahead, talk about him.
Why don't you, if you had something lined up, go ahead and talk about Clyde real quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's just, his snaps and his usage is going down every game. They just, really any of the running backs over there, it's tough to start. Again, against San Fran, who their defense is playing really good, also against the run. So even McKinnon, a lot of those guys this week you probably want to stay away from if you can. So
you like that passing game script against the Niners with Juju Smith-Schuster as opposed to the running game.
Yeah, with Mahomes out there, obviously, listen, I think you should sit Juju, but he could go off. He could because Mahomes is.
I would try to trade Juju right now. If you had Juju, I would try to sell high on him. I'd look to try to move him if you could. Food for thought.
That's a smart play. Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's definitely a sit. I can't see that, especially with McKinnon as well as is it Pachenko? He is getting touches as well. He's a guy that you may want to.
But that's exactly why it's not good though for fantasy. Yep. When you got 3 guys that are sharing all the load, when it's 2 guys, it's bad. But 3 guys, it's just
tough to trust his usage right now. So he's a guy that you just can't rely on. And I'm going to sit him against this lineup against the Niners. So, but. On the other side of the ball, I think you're going to start Brandon Ayuk. I think he's a guy that you definitely want to start. He came back in week 6, and you're like, holy shit, look at this dude, demonstrated how good he actually could be. 8 receptions on 11 targets, 83 yards with 2 tuds. That's just that's a monster day. Beat me in a league. Didn't expect that, and took an L there, unfortunately. And now they're going against the Chiefs, which is consistently good matchup for opposing wide receivers. So I'm looking to see Ayuk have another good night, back-to-back weeks for him. So I'm looking at that's a start for me here for my guys. What do you got?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Definitely. I mean, I would sit also, any of the receivers for the Patriots. I think our Bears are going to shut them down. Zappy, I think we're gonna shut them down a little bit. So I think, Jacob Myers and some of the other receivers over there. If you were going to start them, I don't know if you have them on your team or not, but
there's one guy
Stevenson's going to be the
go
guy.
after. Or look to play, and I would think that's that Taekwon Thornton for New England. He's just a guy I think they're going to try. I just think they're good. If there's any guy, I feel like they're going to.
That's the one bright spot that we got on our.
That's it.
Team. We're one of the better teams against the pass. So
yeah, but if he gets the ball, I think they try to get him into. I think he had 3 carries last week. If I believe correctly. Yeah, he had 3 rushing attempts. So, I mean, he had 53 yards and 2 scores, so they try to get the ball in his hands. He was just, you're speaking of the Patriots. And I think if there's one dude, he's a guy rostered in 1% of leagues. You could spend $1 and, maybe a couple bucks, but at the most. But I think he's a guy, just speaking of New England's running backs. Yeah. But,
well, the running backs,
wide receiver. Sorry. Yeah. I misspoke. Yes.
But while we're on that subject with the Patriots and the running backs, our rush defense is abysmal, and Stevenson is a beast.
He's a start for sure.
Yeah, he's a start for sure. Sadly, I hope I'm wrong. Obviously, hope we shut him down, but he's a beast, and we cannot stop the run. So he sadly might be a good start this week.
The Bears in their run. Eberflus comes out and says, "Oh, we're gonna go with the hot hand." Yeah, go fuck yourself. Or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, whatever. We'll save that for tomorrow night.
That's for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Which is lined up for a great show, by the way. I don't know if we, while we're talking about it. Former Bears defensive end Greg. I don't want to mispronounce his last name. Blash. I
think it's Blash.
Blash.
I think it was a coach. I don't think it was a.
Yes, former defensive. Defensive coordinator for 3 years with the Bears.
Yeah, you said defensive end.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Defensive coordinator. But he's going to be on tomorrow night. Keeping it 100 at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 Central. It's going to be an awesome show. TTNL, it's Keeping It 100, has just been putting out amazing guests. If you have not checked that out.
Yeah, especially last week.
Erlacher. Last week was Thomas Jones, who.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, one of the few good things I've ever done for this network is get Thomas Jones. I was able to get him. I reached out to him on Twitter, and I was able to get him. He answered me right away, and he was amazing on there. The guys, honestly, they really only asked him maybe like 3 questions because he literally answered. Phil asked him about him getting traded from the Bears. Yep. He answered that question for about an hour.
Yeah.
Literally an hour, and he goes from the start of him being on the Bears to when he was gone. So it was great. Go back and watch it, and then watch next tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night.
Let's let's
circle back though because I think I just got 2 more guys because it's pertinent to the Bears.
Yeah,
and it's a guy that we talked about drafting that we really hoped we drafted instead of Velus Jones at this point. But I'd start Alec Pierce at this point with in Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Matt Ryan as a start, I think you could look at Alec Pierce. He's rostered in less than 10% of some leagues. It's mind-boggling. Second straight, at least 9 target week for him. He's just been putting together solid fantasy production in the last 2 weeks. I think he's a guy you can expect to do more, even with Jonathan Taylor coming back. I almost think that's going to help him. They do come up against a tough Titans defense, but they've also given up almost 38 fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So there's an opportunity there for him to eat. You have Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce. That's a solid matchup, and I think if you're going to double up on Pittman, it's just going to mean more for a guy that I wish was wearing Bears colors, unfortunately. Yeah. So, and lastly, real quick before we move over to the waiver wire, I'm going to say sit Chris Olave Thursday night match. I believe it's a Thursday night matchup. I'm trying to remember the Thursday night game.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Thursday night is Saints Cardinals. Coming off the concussion protocol, he's supposed to be cleared. I just don't like to start, especially if supposedly Jameis is coming back. We're not sure. I'm looking to sit him, and it's just. and defensively, it's not a good matchup either. Plus, I hate Thursday night football. There aren't much statistics I'm going to give you outside of. I just think it's a horrible fucking matchup and stay away from it.
Amazon has really
they must hate it right now.
They have not gotten much good games. But I got to say, I like the Prime Vision though. Have you watched it?
Hey, that's awesome.
I
do appreciate that.
I like that because it's a further outlook. You can see more of the play develop, and then has the players. They show the players on there. So that's pretty cool. And then I heard today, I guess they dropped some news that they're going to have Black Friday games next year. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Black Friday.
What, at 5 in the morning while you're standing in line?
I guess. Yeah. Well, you can watch it on your phone, so why not? Yeah. You ever do that? You ever go out for Black Friday?
Yes, I have.
Have you? Did you get in a trampled
no, I bought a TV.
Stampede or no?
I bought a TV. That was about it. My wife and I, when we first bought our house, we did Black Friday shopping, and it wasn't what it was all cracked up to be. The TV was shitty, and the volume sucked. It was a great deal. Bought it at Best Buy, and it was still just crappy.
Well, the whole scam with that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of those TVs are only sold usually on the Black Friday sale. So they're like special TVs that they get cheap from the manufacturers, and they're usually shit. But I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, TVs
I got a 60-inch television for one of the a loft at our house, and it was like $299. But anyway, not fantasy. Fucking playing.
No, it's all right. It's all right. We could talk some other stuff too. It's a Chris and Jackal show.
That's the Claudio Jackal 2.0, bro.
I mean, the Claudio. Yeah, we could do whatever the fuck we want. But
no, I just want to say
they're gonna have. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't forget about the Thursday night game. Just to remember, there's some fantasy players there though with that matchup. I just think it's a scary game especially by Friday morning. You could be looking at like, oh man, I'm looking at an L. I just had a shitty fucking. There's some guys that you're gonna start. A couple running backs, a couple quarterbacks. I don't know.
Also, here's always a PSA is always take your players on Thursday night out of your flex.
Yep.
So don't have them in your flex. You want that to be open for Sunday for you to put whoever you want in. I mean, obviously you want to start somebody on Thursday, but put them at their, at a position. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter. You got to
keep your options open.
You got Barkley at the flex. You don't need to have them at your running back spot. It doesn't matter. So if you're going to start somebody on a Thursday night game, start them on the, not on your flex.
Logan, I have a projector too. We watch some pretty good stuff out there, bud. My kids love the projector. Good times.
Nice.
Yeah. No, so let's kick it over to the waiver wire. I know no Ivan, so the show is it's a little condensed because we're plugging along here because Ivan is not here. We don't have his picks. We don't have his guy. I hope Ivan is okay.
I know. I hope so too. He didn't get back to you, huh? You reached out to him. Yeah.
No, I haven't heard from him. So I'm hoping that everything's good. Zorich is show. I don't know if he's there, but here we are. And
that's all right.
Let's talk about the waiver wire a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
where do you want to start? You want to start with quarterbacks? You want to start running backs, receivers, tight ends, defenses? Ivan always starts defenses for some reason. So
he wants to talk defense.
He always starts with the defense.
I mean, defenses are it's very simple. You try to stream a defense, unless you have one of the top defenses. Stream a defense that's going against a bad quarterback. Simple as that. So just look at the matchups. They're going against a quarterback that throws a lot of interceptions. Start them. Or if you're going against a team that our offense obviously is struggling, if you can pick them up, that's about it for. Ivan said something.
Yeah, we're good. He's good. He's good. He's not going to make it. He was out this week.
I told you that. I told you. I said he said something about not coming on this week.
I thought you were joking, but
yeah, no, I was not joking. I have a pretty good memory for someone my age.
That's just something you might remind us about, but it's all good.
I did remind you. I had a feeling. So either way, good. Everything's good with Ivan. We're happy about that.
Yes.
So
room on the mustache rides.
Yeah.
So go first.
I mean, I got a waiver wire pickup for you.
I hope you have a couple.
Listen, the Giants have been surprises of the NFL right now, right? And they lost Sterling Shepard. They don't have a number one receiver right now. I think this guy might become their number one receiver when it's all said and done at the end of the season, or he's going to be up there. It's Rondelle Robertson. Yeah, can't even say his name. I don't even know him that well, but I see him play last week, and he impressed, and Daniel Jones, was targeting him, so he could be a guy you want to pick up and stash. He might not go off this week coming up, but you definitely might want to pick him up if you got a spot for a player.
He should get some playing time too. I mean, he only played in 23% of the snaps last week, but I mean, he had what, three targets? Or I'm sorry, what do you have? 4. I'm sorry, 4. He led the league in targets, or led the team in targets last week. But he had 3 catches for 37 yards and a touchdown. Right. They have kind of a favorable matchup, which they're going to, I think it may benefit the receivers. You have Jacksonville, Seattle, Houston, and Detroit. I like that pick. I love that pick. I think he's a guy that you could, there's other guys out there that you may get a more immediate dividends from, but if he's not available in Dynasty, it's just because he probably drafted.
Yeah.
But in a best ball or format, I think that's
this is the thing with waiver wire. Obviously you want to pick up guys on the waiver wire that you're going to start that week, right? Yeah. But you also want to try to get a guy, if you have the room like this, where even if you're not going to start him, if you got the chance, pick him up, put him on your bench, because then he's going to, he might turn out to be a guy where everybody's going to be clamoring for him. Yeah. And they're going to be looking, and they're going to be like, fuck, he's not in the waiver wire right now.
You got to be proactive.
Because you fucking went and took him. So
that's why you watch Keepin It Fantasy, right, Claudio? So you can tell them who you take.
We throw darts.
We got a couple of Geno Smith, there's some other ones we nailed this year so far,
Hey, and my Eckler prediction. If my Eckler prediction comes true, I'm quitting being a barber. I'm just going to be a fantasy analyst.
It's unlike getting hey. Any other waiver wire guys you got? I was going to bust your balls, but I just decided not to.
That's okay. I get my balls busted enough.
I'm good.
Yeah. Michael Gallup, if he's available, which he is, and I think he's available in like 40% of the leagues or something like that. With Dak coming back, they might not be coming back this week, but even with Rush in there, Gallup is a guy you definitely want to pick up if he's available. He's definitely the bona fide number 2 over there. So
hold that thought. So you got 2 wide receivers there. How about I give 2 wide receivers and then we'll go on to another position.
Go for it, bro.
Perfect. I like that.
Yeah.
So we talked about Alec Pierce already. I brought him up earlier as a start, but he's a guy that's rostered in 38% of the leagues right now. He's got Tennessee, Washington, and New England coming up. He's a guy that I don't think you're going to need to spend a lot of fab on also. And like we talked about earlier on the targets, but he's coming off an average of back-to-back 80-yard games on average. I think he's a guy that is going to help you out. He's running on a 76.6 and 70.6 route participation rate over the last 2 weeks. So when he's on the field, he's involved. I think somebody that you would want to invest in to try to get on your team as you make a playoff push. And then I'm gonna bring up. I hate to even say it, but I'm actually gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go with Taekwon Thornton. He's the guy that I brought up earlier. He's the dude that I think's a waiver wire. He's rostered in 1% of the leagues. He's a wide receiver in New England. He's got Chicago. He's got the Jets, and he's got Indy. You talk about the Jets defense and how strong they are. Obviously they got Sauce Gardner, but there's guys that are going to focus on, outside of him that I think just makes life a little easier for Mr. Thornton. So he's a dude. Good. Yeah, those are 2 receivers I think you should go try to get right now. One will be a little bit harder to get in Alec Pierce, where Thornton's a guy that I think you could probably grab and not spend a lot of money. So I'm going to throw it back over to you, sir. And let me know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can get a couple handcuffs. I mean, you can get the Samaje Perine and on Cincy.
Yep.
Behind Mixon. So he's a good guy you want to pick up. He gets touches too, but he's a guy you might want to pick up too. He's Mixon is always a little banged up. Sometimes he can go down, so he's a good handcuff. And then the other guy, forget who I was gonna say. Sorry. D'Onta Foreman in Carolina. Yes. Because last year he went off. When he can,
he was, and he got an opportunity in Houston, right? And then he got hurt.
Yeah, and there's trade talks, not just with DJ Moore. There's trade talks with CMC. So D'Onta Foreman in Carolina could be a guy you want to pick up too and stash on the waiver wire.
And to piggyback that, Claudio, they were talking about Chuba Hubbard being the guy there, and no, they signed Deontay Foreman in the offseason, I think, because they realized maybe Chuba wasn't what they thought he was going to be when he got the opportunity last year when CMC got hurt. So
Yeah,
I think that's a great pickup.
70. Yeah, he's getting 71% of the backup snaps over Hubbard.
That's great. That's a good pick, man. I like that.
Yeah.
And so I know there's somebody had asked in the chat earlier about a couple of running backs, Latavius Murray and Kenyon Drake. One being in Denver with Latavius Murray, rostered in 15% of the leagues. He has got a matchup over the next 3 weeks of the Jets at Jacksonville, but then he's got to bye. But the problem is the Broncos' backfield is just a shit show in terms. The Broncos' offense is just awful in general.
It is, but I mean the Gordon stuff is becoming a public thing now. Like
well, they benched Gordon.
Yeah,
they
benched him. So he could be getting a lot of touches over there.
True, but at the same time, they're not very good, and I imagine they're going to have to throw the ball with the negative game script, and that's just I don't think that's a guy. I mean, look, he could go off, and he could get 20 touches, and that'd be great. But at the same time, I think I would actually go after a guy like Kenyon Drake if you needed immediate dividends. He's rostered in 4% of the league. In most leagues, got Cleveland, Tampa, and New Orleans coming up. He came out and, he blew up on the spot week 6. He looked great. Star running back, with J.K. Dobbins getting hurt. Just don't know what's going on there. He's a guy to really possibly, he may invest a little bit more than what you're thinking about because people that are desperate to get their hands on a running back right now, especially with the way things are kind of shaping up in Baltimore, I think Kenyon Drake would be the guy to go out and get as a running back. So out of the guys that we talked about earlier, I know Zane was asking about that. I think I would start Kenyon Drake out of those 3, in my opinion. While that comes up.
Talking about this week, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
yeah,
because McKinnon doesn't have a good matchup, and Murray, I'm not sure.
He's got the Jets. Murray has the Jets, and Cleveland is for Baltimore. So I like,
Yeah, I would definitely do. Yeah,
what's his face has got the shoulder he hurt in the Myles Garrett, the shoulder he hurt in the car accident. He had an X-ray on. I think it was today. Is negative, but he's dealing with some pain there. So you don't know what you're going to get out of. If he's out of the lineup, that just that definitely helps out Kenyon Drake running the ball. Anytime he's off the field,
Yeah.
So
all good points, man. We got a question. Hold on, we got a quick question
go ahead.
here. What order do you put Juju, Pierce, and Wandale?
Exactly, and how you put it there, Stu Lacker. I think that is. Go ahead, Ivan.
Yeah, I think he's. No, it's okay. I think you're talking about in for this week or picking up. I don't know if you're talking about starting or picking up, but I mean, obviously Juju is probably not available to be picked up. But, but I would still. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Juju's got a tough matchup, like I said. But he's gonna probably see a lot of time. But Wandale, still trying to figure out how to say his name. But he could be a sleeper in there too. He might surprise some people. So
I mean, I think
that's what you're talking about is starting, obviously.
I mean, Wandale Robinson is wide receiver 63. I'm looking for Alec Pierce while we look here, but I also know that Juju Smith is wide receiver 36.
You're talking about like projections this week?
Overall, right now their rankings going into the rest of the season, and
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so Alec Pierce is wide receiver 62. I can't believe I looked at Wandale and didn't see Alec. So I think obviously Juju in that offense. I think Matt Ryan with Alec Pierce, they're definitely building some chemistry, and you're seeing some results there, but it's still early on, and it's very premature with Wandale Robinson. But you love what you see there. Depends on also what type of league you're in. If you're in a dynasty, I think you're reversing that order, or you're going to go Pierce, Wandale, and then Juju. But no, I think you hit the nail on the head just how you typed it out.
Yeah. Yep. See, no more questions. I like questions. Questions are fun. Pick 2 to start. Mixon, Kenneth Walker, and Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce is my boy. He's another guy that I was all over, and he's got a tough matchup this week. I remember looking at it. I don't, off the top of my head, remember what the team was, but I know he has a little bit tougher of a matchup. But Dameon Pierce is a baller, but so is Kenneth Walker. That's tough. I mean, you got to go with Mixon. I think you got to stick with Mixon as one of them. And then let me real quick see who Kenneth Walker is playing.
They have they're playing the Chargers. Atlanta against Cincinnati, and Houston is playing against. I just talked about it. Where is it at? Against the Raiders.
Yeah, I would go with Walker this week, personally. And I love Pierce, and he'll be starting in one of my leagues because I don't have Walker to start over him. I think Walker has a little bit better of a matchup, and he's another ball. That dude looks like he could be a stud.
He had his first start last week, man.
Yeah.
21 carries, 3 targets.
He got some fucking footwork on him, dude.
Oh, he's good, man.
He got some cuts that are fucking sweet, and he's got some power, and I like him a lot. So I would go with Mixon and Walker. What do you think? You agree?
I definitely go Mixon. I agree with you on Pierce, but I think the matchup just for Walker the third is just too strong, like 21 carries, 3 targets, finished with 110 yards, a touchdown, playing 69% of the snaps. He definitely looks like the bell cow back in Seattle. I think it's just a good sign also, like as he goes into week 7 going against the Chargers, an average of 28.5 fantasy points allowed at the position. That was entering before last night, but since week 2, the Chargers have given up more than 20 fantasy points in the running back at every game. And some have been over 35 points. So they definitely are a sieve, just like the Packers when it comes to the ground game. I definitely would go with Kenneth Walker. And I just like the matchup for Joe Mixon, going against the Falcons. I just think, I just think,
Mixon's
he's a must start. He's an RB10.
He's a must.
I'm not hating on Dameon Pierce though. I think he's still great.
You said he's playing the Bengals, right?
Yeah.
Bengals. Yeah. I mean,
no, Dameon Pierce is playing the Raiders. Mixon's playing the Bengals.
Playing the Raiders. Yeah, and the Raiders are the third best against the run. They've only given up 516 yards, and only the Titans and the Bills are better than them all year. So. Yeah, that's a tough matchup for Pierce. So let's move on to we've got some other questions here. Do you guys think James Conner will play Thursday night?
No, he was limited in practice already today.
I don't know. What's Adam Schefter saying?
Well, I think as of right now, he didn't practice Monday. With the injury to the ribs, I just don't see him going on a short week. Benjamin's dealing with a foot injury too, so I think you'd more likely see Benjamin play before you'd see James Conner play.
Yeah, they don't want Conner. No, you're right.
Yeah, they paid him a lot more money, so I think they're trying to also protect their investment. But Yep.
We got another one by Jason again. Who should I put in my flex 0.5 PPR? David Montgomery or Keenan Allen? Well, don't ask Jackal because Jackal's going to sit Montgomery. So
did you hear what Eberflus said today?
I know, I'm joking. I'm just
fucking.
I didn't hear what he said. I've been.
They're going with the hot hands. Whoever's running well at the time, that's who they're going with. So like
during the game, whoever's running well.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. That's ridiculous because
I
know that. No, but listen, that's ridiculous because Herbert, yes, he's had some big plays. But again, like it's almost like he was in that play and he had a hold. But if Montgomery's in there, he's doing the same thing, if not more, and going farther and making more yards. So it's not like, But hey, if that's what he's going to do, if that's not good for Montgomery, because if Herbert does start playing good, but Keenan Allen is. I don't think they're saying he's going to play because I have Keenan Allen in 2 leagues, and I think he's
killing me.
Yeah. He's been killing me too. I love him. He's such a great receiver, but his whole career, it just seems like every year he's getting banged up, and he's been out. Yeah, I think they got him as questionable right now.
Okay.
Still, so I mean, if he's gonna on pace. Okay, saying on pace to fully
play, then I go with Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah, I would go Keenan Allen. If he's definitely gonna play. The Patriots defense is actually pretty decent against the run also. So,
I just like Keenan Allen once he's back in that offense. I think, with Eckler clicking and I just think that's a good dose there. Drop Cole Kmet. What the fuck are we doing here, Jason? Come on, my guy. You got to drop him. There's definitely a couple, dude. I got 2 names for you. I mean, I talked about Robert Tonyan already, But Mike Gesicki rostered in 24% of the leagues right now. He's got Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Chicago coming up. As long as the usage is right for him, he's a fantasy producer at the tight end position. With Tua in the lineup and the way the offense was going, he wasn't used as much. There's some concern, but then he went and had, I think it was the week before Tua got his that huge concussion. He had a big week. He had a huge week last week. And everything seems to be trending upward for him. So Gesicki's a guy.
Guy, Evan Ingram.
Yes.
Is another guy that you might want to pick up if he's available. He's going against his old team.
Yeah.
The Giants.
He has good matchups too.
Little revenge game for Evan Ingram. So Komet, obviously, most of us are Bear fans, I would think, that are on this the show right now. We all would love Komet to be, a bona fide fantasy tight end, but it just doesn't look like it. I mean, our offense, our passing game is just not there yet for him to be starting on their team. He shouldn't even really be on their team.
Targets though in Jacksonville. I mean, he is a guy that is a dude. We talked about him on the show. He's a security blanket for Trevor Lawrence. He's a target. Yeah. He's a volume king. He's a 27.2 target share in week 6 with 5 grabs and 40 yards. He's not a guy that's going to go out and put up major numbers, but he's a guy that's going to get a bunch of targets. And if he has a decent day, he could give you a decent fantasy production for a tight end position. If you're just trying to, a stopgap tight end because you got a bye or an injury, you're hoping Dalton Schultz comes back, whatever it is,
He's saying, okay, so Jason, Tyon isn't available, Gesicki isn't. He's saying Evan. So how about you just throw some guys out there that are
Hunter Henry? They're rostered in 36% of the leagues.
No. But Jackal, we don't know his league. So Jason, just put out some tight ends that are available, and then we'll maybe help you and say.
We just give a couple: Greg Dulcich, Hunter Henry. I think those are guys. Daniel Bellinger for the Giants, rostered in 2% of the leagues. He's got Jacksonville, Seattle.
That's a good one too, Bellinger. Yep, that's a good one.
So there's some guys out there that you can go ahead and get.
Those deep leagues are tough, Jason. I know. I've been in some of them, and I love the 10-man leagues. That's my favorite because it's. You just always got some guys out there. So let's see, top tight ends available are Noah Fant, Cade Otton, and Jake Ferguson, and Bellinger. So Noah Fant is another one.
Cade Otton. Yeah, I'm with Zane on that, but
Otton. Yep. Yeah.
All right.
You got some options out there, Jason.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I like Bellinger too. Like I think that's a guy. We talk about the Giants enough up here in New England. They get all that, especially with how they're playing right now. So that's all. The pub's fucking huge. So, it's not a bad pick. Bellinger isn't a guy. Not many people are probably looking at rostered in 2% right now on most leagues, and you probably wouldn't have to spend a lot of money on Fab if that was the case either. So, Oh, nice. He made a claim for Cade. Well done.
There you go. Nice.
Perfect, man. Good luck with that.
Good luck. Yeah, hope you get it. Hope you get them.
So, dude, I think we've been going for an hour. We've done waiver wires. We've done starts and sits. We've done injuries. We've talked about all sorts of fucking shit. Is there anything we didn't cover, Claudio, that you want to talk about tonight?
No, nothing on the top of my head. I mean, I think we put out some good stuff out there, some good info, and hopefully everybody enjoyed the show.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We love taking the questions too. So next week or whatever, keep throwing those questions out. We'll save them. We'll star them and get back to them because those are always fun.
Appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you.
Yeah,
definitely. The Jackal and Claudio show 2.0 for Logan Frost is here on your Tuesday night, August 18th, for your listening pleasure. Don't forget tomorrow night, Keepin It 100. Another banger of a show, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to be a blast. Thank you for joining us.
Logan wants me to talk about my loss. You want me to talk about my loss?
You talked about it already.
I know. I don't want to talk about it.
He was late to the party. If you showed up on time, Logan,
I lost by 1 point because Justin Herbert fucking sucked it up this week. Was I playing you? I don't even know if I was. Was that why? No, I don't think I was playing. I was playing Necrone. I lost to John Necrone. So
thank you, Jason. Appreciate it, brother.
All right.
Yeah, smash the like button if you're listening. We appreciate the love, man. Much love. Thank you. And if you don't have anything, Claudio, I think it's time we wrap up and bounce out of this joint.
Yes. That was awesome, man. Good job.
All right, brother.
Fun.
Peace.
Later.